It's Misery May, and I have an author suggestion for you. Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to a video in which I'm going to recommend an author for Misery May. I know oftentimes, by the way, if you don't know what Misery May is, it is a month-long read-along hosted by Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I believe Jim from Gemma Books, yes, who host this, month-long festival of reading things that make you feel miserable. Oftentimes, the authors who come up most often, are modern-day kind of writers of what people sometimes refer to as misery porn. Thomas Hardy, the most miserable writer of all, but I have another writer for you to consider as a possible contender for Misery May, and I'm not sure it's an author we oftentimes associate with miserable writing, and part of the reason for that is that her books are kind of miserable in a kind of subtle way. So I just want to mention the 5 books by Edith Wharton, because that's the author I'm talking about, that I think are miserable. The first is The Sun at the Front. This is a novel set during World War I, in which an American painter and the wife he's divorced from have a son who is looking to try to serve in the French military during World War I. And the son, the father and the mother and the stepfather, by the way, are all in agreement that this shouldn't happen. But he figures out a way to serve anyway, and I think you can probably figure out what transpires because of that as we go along. And so there's just a lot of kind of unhappy, miserable scenes related to the war that are in this book. The next book on my list is Custom of the Country, and this is probably the one that may be the biggest stretch towards in terms of talking about misery, and that's because the main character I don't think ever really suffers the misery that goes on around them. Her name is Undine, and she is a young woman from a wealthy family in a small kind of manufacturing town in the Midwest, moves to New York and is determined to work her way up into high society through marriage and relationships and things like that. And she kind of leaves a trail of broken men behind her. She makes really bad decisions, oftentimes about which men to associate herself with. She continually finds herself marrying into or being in relationships which don't work out for her. Her son suffers as a result of this. Her ex-husband suffers as a result of this, as does her father, as do many other people who, essentially seek to, because she's beautiful, enter into a relationship with her, take care of her, and she pays them back by being, I think at the very least, disloyal and at the probably most grasping and trying to, social climb all the time and being more concerned with that and having all the nice things than she is in relationships. And I found her effect on people to be somewhat miserable. Third on my list of miserable Edith Wharton books is The Age of Innocence. This is easily, I think, the most famous of the Edith Wharton books, and it involves a man named Newland Archer and his upcoming marriage to a young woman who I believe's name is May. And I think this is just one of the most brilliant novels written by an American and written period. The way in which Wharton is able to subtly reveal the nature of the relationship between Newland and May, the way he comes to discover what's really going on, and sorry, Zelda's having a problem. And the fact that he ends up not being able to be with the woman he truly loves the rest of his life, so much so that at the end, he chooses something else. It's just really, really miserable when you think about it. For a novel that appears to be kind of light and airy and just all about these kind of social maneuverings and marriage, there is a real strain of misery running through it. I think probably most people would acknowledge that House of Mirth is a fairly miserable novel in the sense that its main character, Lily Barth, who is a beautiful young woman from the right social class but without the right amount of money, who just never seems to find herself into the correct relationship to secure her future, and as a result she kind of is used in a non-physical way for the most part by men who are really only interested in her beauty. It keeps her away from the man that she really loves and who loves her and who might have given her what she needed in her life and what she was looking for, and might have had a fulfilling relationship. And she slowly falls further and further down the social ladder. and then there's an ending, which I won't give away, because I'm really bad at giving it spoilers here, so I'm doing my best, but you should probably know, and I'll put it in the title. There's spoilers involved. And then the last book, and the most miserable of all Edith Wharton books, is by far Ethan Frome. Ethan Frome is a young married man who lives in a home with his wife, who almost immediately after they got married became not exactly what he thought she would be, and she is oftentimes in ill health, and he's not happy, and she's not happy, and the home's not happy. And at one point they decide to bring in or take in, I believe, a cousin. I'm not sure of which one. A young woman who comes to live with them, and you probably figured out what happens between Ethan and this young woman moving forward. And the machinations of the wife kind of prevent things from going any further, and then there is a big tragic scene, which I won't give away. And then I think the ending is just one of the most poetically miserable endings of a novel that I've ever read. So, if you had to read one from Misery May, if you haven't read anything from Misery May yet, Ethan Frome is the most disturbing, the most unsettling, the most miserable. It's also the shortest of the Edith Wharton novels here. So anyway, there you go. If you're looking for suggestions for Misery May, you might look at Edith Wharton's those 5 novels by Edith Wharton, which are, in fact, pretty miserable. Anyway, look forward to your comments in the comments section below. And as always, thank you for watching.